A friend talking to you at 1:37 a.m. after everyone's gone home, saying something that quietly changes how you see yourself. A person laughing at chaos while everyone else is panicking. That's not confidence, that's survival. You know that person, the one who laughs at absolutely everything, not just at a good joke, but at the kind of situations that would send most people into a downward spiral of panic or despair. While everyone else is losing their minds, they're standing there with a smirk or a chuckle, saying, "Well, at least it's not raining. Oh wait, it is." You might think they're just naturally happy, or maybe a bit detached, but the truth is much deeper and a lot more fascinating. If you see someone who finds humor in the darkest moments, who remains eerily calm when the world is burning, or who seems to have a superpower for reading the room, it's likely they've been through some stuff. And I'm not talking about a bad day or a middle school breakup. I'm talking about the kind of experiences that fundamentally rewire your brain. Today, we're going to look behind the laughter. We're going to explore the hidden psychology of people who have endured too much and why their unique perspective makes them some of the most resilient, empathetic, and complex humans you will ever meet. The rewired brain. An animation of a brain being reconfigured with wires and gears. Let's paint a picture. Imagine someone cuts you off in traffic. Most people might yell, honk their horn, or feel their blood pressure spike. But the person who has seen too much, they don't feel road rage. Instead, their mind is already 10 steps ahead. They're wondering if that driver is having a mental breakdown, going through a divorce, or maybe just really needs to find a bathroom. Why? Because when you've survived a Category 5 hurricane in your personal life, a little rain shower in traffic doesn't even register on your radar. Psychologically speaking, their brain operates on a different frequency. It's not broken, it's trained. It's a survival masterpiece. When you live in survival mode for too long, your brain develops a literal immunity to life's chaos. It's not that they don't feel pain, it's that they've learned that survival isn't just a possibility, it's an inevitability. They've been demolished before, and they know they can rebuild. Aggressive empathy. A person using binoculars to spot a tiny sad face emoji in a crowd of happy faces. You'd think that going through hell would make someone bitter or cynical, and for some it does, but for many it creates something called aggressive empathy. These people can spot pain in others from a mile away. They've memorized the language of suffering so fluently that they notice the slightest shift in your tone. They see that forced smile you're wearing at the party, and while everyone else thinks you're fine, they're already planning how to check in on you later without making it weird. They read silence the way a musician reads sheet music. They don't just hear the absence of words, they feel the texture of the silence. Is it a heavy silence, a disappointed one, or just an exhausted one? Most people walk into a room and see the furniture. These individuals walk into a room and sense the emotional temperature. It's a gift, but it's a heavy one to carry, because they feel everything, not just for themselves, but for everyone around them. Post-traumatic growth. A cracked vase with gold filling the cracks, kintsugi style. There's a beautiful concept in psychology called post-traumatic growth, a term coined by psychologist Richard Tedeschi. According to his research, a staggering 50 to 63% of people who endure significant trauma don't just bounce back, they bounce forward. Think about that for a second. They don't just return to who they were before, they evolve. Their relationships become deeper because they no longer have time for superficial connections. Their priorities crystallize. They develop a comically intense appreciation for ordinary moments. While others are chasing the next big high, the person who has been through too much is genuinely moved to tears by a good sunset or a quiet cup of coffee. They know, better than anyone, how fragile these moments are. They don't take boring for granted because they know that boring is a luxury they weren't always allowed to have. The shadow side, hypervigilance and control. A brain with a red flashing alarm light on top that won't turn off. But let's be real, it's not all sunsets and empathy. There is a part of this psychology that no one warns you about, hypervigilance. Their threat detection system never fully shuts off. Have you ever gone to a restaurant with someone who insists on sitting with their back to the wall facing the door? Or someone who has 17 backup plans for a simple weekend trip? That's not paranoia, That's a nervous system that learned the hard way that safety is a privilege, not a guarantee. They live in a state of constant readiness. They've developed an allergy to being perceived as a victim, so they downplay their own experiences. "Oh, it wasn't that bad," they'll say, even while they're covered in metaphorical bandages. They've survived by telling themselves they're okay, so admitting they're struggling feels like a failure of their own survival mechanism. It's the ultimate irony. They are the strongest people in the room, yet they feel the most like they're failing if they need a hand to hold. The paradox of connection. Two sides of a coin. One side says fiercely loyal, the other says emotionally guarded. In relationships, these people are walking paradoxes. They are fiercely loyal. They will show up for you at 3 a.m. without a single question, but ask them to talk about their own needs. Suddenly, they're busier than a one-armed juggler at a circus. Why? Because in their history, closeness often came with consequences. When your early experiences teach you that connection can be unpredictable or painful, your nervous system doesn't relax when someone gets close. It braces itself. They desperately want to be seen, but they are terrified of being known. They've learned to need nobody, which sounds strong until you realize how lonely that mountaintop actually is. The grief of the lost self. A person looking into a mirror and seeing a younger, lighter version of themselves walking away. Perhaps the quietest part of this journey is the grief, not the grief of losing someone else, but the grief of losing themselves. They mourn the version of themselves that used to trust easily. They miss the person who could laugh without first checking the exits of the room. They miss a childhood they didn't fully get to live, or a softness they didn't get to keep. But here is the truth. That grief doesn't break them. It shapes them. It makes them more intentional. It turns them into a lighthouse. A lighthouse isn't built on a calm beach. It's built on the jagged rocks, right where the storms are the worst. It doesn't shine because it's perfect. It shines because it remembers the darkness and doesn't want anyone else to get lost in it. Conclusion: the poetry of survival. A person walking through a maze of obstacles, finally reaching a clear path and holding a small light. So, the next time you meet someone who seems a little too okay with chaos, someone who laughs a little too quickly at their own pain, someone who reads your emotions before you even feel them, just know that they've earned that wisdom. Every joke is a tiny rebellion against the things that tried to break them. Every boundary is a fortress built to protect a heart that has already given so much. They've been through too much, and yet they are still here, still trying, still finding reasons to hope. That's not just psychology, that is poetry in motion. If this video resonated with you, if it felt like someone finally put words to how you feel, please subscribe and join our community. Your support allows us to keep diving deep into these topics. And if you want to help us grow even more, hit that join button to become a channel member. Your past may have rewired you, but it's your resilience that defines you. Thanks for watching.